AfriForum has painted a rather grim picture of the country's water situation. It found that 81% of sewage dumped into rivers was not treated properly. The findings are included in the lobby group's version of the Blue and Green Drop report. Now, it tested 140 wastewater treatment works, with only 19% of them meeting the minimum standards that are required. Let's delve into this a little bit more. We're joined by AfriForum's Environmental Affairs Advisor, Marais de Vaal. A very good morning to you, Marais. Thank you for your time this morning. So perhaps let's start with definitions as well. There's the Blue and Green Drop reports. The Blue report is the one that tests the water that comes out of the taps, the drinking water. The Green Drop reports, that tests the outflow of processed sewage into the rivers. I think logically and very simplistically, as the average person, you understand why the water that comes out of the tap needs to be tested, because people are drinking that directly. Talk to us perhaps more about the significance of the Green Drop report and why that water also needs to be tested.
Okay, good morning, Tommy. The Green Drop report's results is really insightful for us, because we have to remember that we have very limited water resources in Pretoria, and any water, whether that's drinking water or sewage water, it's all in a cycle of being used as drinking water. It becomes sewage, gets treated again, and it's drinking water again. And as soon as on the sewage side, we're starting to pollute our natural water resources, the water resources that provide us with drinking water. As they become more and more polluted with sewage, the risk becomes bigger that if there's mismanagement of a water treatment works for drinking water, the danger becomes that our drinking water won't comply with the necessary standards for safe human consumption. And as we are seeing with the sewage water infrastructure, it's really in a really bad critical state. And well, as our tests and the Department of Water and Sanitation's own report confirms, raw sewage is flowing into our natural water resources. So this is really something from a human health perspective to be really concerned about, as it can promote the spread of diseases like cholera, as we've seen earlier this year. But also from an environmental perspective, we are killing the natural ecosystems that provide us with drinking water.
So from the 140 sewage wastewater treatment works that were evaluated, only 19% of them were found to be suitable and clean enough. What else was found in that water? What exactly did your report find?
So these findings are based on our indicative tests that test for a range of chemicals and then bacteria. And we measured the Green Drop results, so the treated sewage effluent, against the absolute minimum standards for what wastewater treatment work should comply with. In reality, every wastewater works has its own water license with perhaps stricter requirements, but we just use the minimum requirements that must be met. And what we found is that in the 81% of cases where they did not comply with the standards, the reason would primarily be that the limits for fecal coliform bacteria and or E. coli bacteria has been exceeded. And that's just a telltale sign that the water that flows out from the sewage works still contains sewage that has not been treated. It contains these bacteria, and it's an indicator that if you find these sort of common bacteria in the water, it's a very good precursor for having other problems further down the line, like the spread of cholera or typhoid fever or other bacteriological diseases.
The study that you compiled, how does that align with what the Department of Water and Sanitation compiled and their findings? Is there synergy? Are they talking to each other? Do they complement each other?
I think they complement each other well. Ours is a sample of 140 sewage works across the country, whereas there is about, in total, just under 1,000 municipal sewage works. Just due to our limited resources, we couldn't taste each and every one, but it is the responsibility of Department of Water and Sanitation, and they, in their green drop tasting, taste each and every one. So it's very encouraging in that way to see that our results reflect what Water and Sanitation's green drop results show as well. And in the government's own green drop report, they've indicated that 334 of the total of sewage works across the country are in a critical state. So it's not new news. We've known this, and now our results just confirm the situation.
So how can the results from this report actually be applied in a very practical way for the South African who at some point or the other would end up consuming this water and then contracting typhoid fever or cholera, as was seen earlier on in the year? Can one actually take the department then to task based on these type of results?
Well, just as far as the general public is concerned, obviously be very careful of consuming water from natural water sources. I'm not talking about treated municipal drinking water now, but any water straight from a river should definitely not be consumed. It's not safe for human consumption. As far as drinking water goes, and you've mentioned that in your introduction as well, from our taste at least, municipal drinking water is still mostly safe for human consumption. But I think the public has become more wary and aware of the water quality situation. So rather be cautious if there's any doubt. In terms of keeping the government to task, yes, the Minister of Water and Sanitation is ultimately responsible. He is the trustee of all the country's natural water resources. And what this report allows us as AfriForum to do as a civil rights watchdog is just to put the facts out there, to keep the public informed, but also it's a means for us to engage with government at different levels, on a municipal level, to lay down our action plans of how water quality can be improved and engage in conversations with municipalities to try and collaborate and find rapid solutions rather than, as we've also seen happening, if a municipality fails in its duties, then provincial government intervenes, then it's still not a solution, then national government has to intervene. So it ends up taking 5 or 6 years for a problem to be resolved, whereas each and every day that sewage flows into a natural resource, people's lives are in danger, it's a health risk, it's a crime, and somebody should be held accountable for that.
Marais de Vaal, thank you so much for your time this morning. That's Marais de Vaal. He's AfriForum's Environmental Affairs Advisor.